Hello everybody, this is Sirik1983 and welcome back to Neverwinter Nights. Alright, so we've got a couple of side quests here. We got Aarin's tale and Aribeth's tale, so let's talk to the rest of our companions and see what they've been up to. Let's talk to Tomi first.
Well now, if it isn't you! Glad I am to see you. Isn't the country wonderful this time of year? So much better than the city with all that, burning and dying. You know.
I'm surprised to see you here, Tomi. Yeah, well, what's a halfling supposed to do? Me, I go where the money is. After you and I went our separate ways, Miss Aribeth there approached me and gave me plenty of money to hop along on this pony ride of hers. We're all supposed to help with the search. Seems like Lord Nasher wants to get rid of all the cultists who started this fight. I say good for him. Just goes to show that not all old people are useless and should be killed, you know. So you were conscripted into service by Aribeth. I've already been paid by Miss Aribeth, and good coin too, I might add. You'd think this Nasher fellow belched gold at will. I was just told that I'm supposed to help out wherever I can. How sweet and unspecific is that? I don't suppose you actually want something, do you? I could use a good rogue up by my side. Well, isn't it a coincidence that I happen to be a good rogue? Fine, this one rabbit town was beginning to bore me anyway. And they all basically say roughly the same thing, so I'll just speed through the rest of them when I get to them, but alright.
What can Tomi do for you?
I just want to talk. Oh, what did you have in mind, my lord? If we're to be companions, I'd like to know more about you. Oh, there's only so much you can know about me, my lord. Tomi Undergallows be the most famous halfling rogue in all of Calimport. That about sums it up. Oh, I have my tales of treachery and deceit, the likes of which I've been told to wide-eyed little Calimshite children for many years, but I doubt you'd be interested in that. Oh, go on, you know you want to tell me. Well, let's see. Tommy's had a bunch of friends and a bunch of enemies in his time. There's only been one who's been both. My arch-nemesis, Samuel Bumbleheart. Sammy and I were pals dating back to the good old days when we used to run wild through the streets as wee little urchins, stealing avocados and pinching purses. When I started to gain a bit of notoriety of my own, however, Sammy became a mite jealous, poor lad. Fame was always Sammy's thing. He's always loved attention, ever since he did that striptease in the half-orc bar to keep from being pummeled. I've always thought he was a bit of a diva. You seem to rather enjoy the fame yourself. Nah, not so much. It's a bit hard to pick a pocket when you have 20 suspicious eyes on you. Great with the lasses, though, I'll admit. Sammy was content for a while, but he'd get mad when folks always recognized me first. The guards would chase me down the street and he'd complain, "Why didn't they chase me?" Oh, he tried to show me up as a thief. Not being very good, however, it only landed him in prison. In Calimshan, that means you're as good as hung. I busted him out the first time, but that only embarrassed him. No good deed goes unpunished, you know, so Sammy had to take action. You'd think he'd be thankful for the help. Well, the truth is, I didn't really mean to break him out. It was an accident. The kind that brings down half the prison and causes a mass escape. Happens all the time, trust me. I don't know why Sammy was so mad, really. He just seemed to lose it completely. And all that shouting and turning red in the face, it was just so sad. After all, he'd only broken a couple of legs. He could still walk, even if it was with a limp. Could I be held completely to blame? At any rate, Sammy decided enough was enough. It was time to ruin his best pal Tomi once and for all. What did he do? Sammy came up with a plan. Not the brightest plan, I suppose. He was never much of a planner. His last plan, in fact, was a heist that ended up with him being left naked and cold on a ship to Maztica. Well, alright, I did forget to go pick him up, but it was his plan. His plan would be different, however. Or so he thought. I'll have to tell you about it sometime, my lord. Alright, well, there you go. Alright, let's talk to Daelan.
It is a pleasure to see you again, though not altogether unexpected. I had heard that Aribeth recruited you to stamp out the foul cult that was responsible for the plague.
I'm surprised to see you here, Daelan. I know we went our separate ways, and yeah, he basically just goes all through the same thing. Conscripted, and I could use a good fighter. Alright, now let's hear his tale.
Yes? Is there something you need?
I just want to talk for a while. My strength is in weapons, not words. If we're to be adventuring companions, I'd like to know a little more about you. There are no great secrets about me, Kell. I am what I am. My father was an orc, and my mother was an Uthgard of the Red Tiger tribe. I know nothing of my father. My mother would never speak of him, but I was raised among the Red Tiger tribe and the customs and traditions of the Uthgard people. I do not know what more I can tell you. Tell me about the Uthgard, about your customs and traditions. We Uthgard are a simple but noble people. We hunt the herds and live off the land. We worship the gods of our ancestors and the totems of our tribes. Some in the cities fear us. They call us bloodthirsty savages, but they are ignorant of our ways. We are fierce warriors of great courage and honor, even if they do not understand. What was it like for you growing up? I will not lie. I was never allowed to forget my father's tainted orc blood. Yet if the tribe did not embrace me, at least they tolerated me. Like the other young boys of our tribe, I ran and climbed and swam and grew strong. I learned to hunt and fish, I learned the lore of our tribe, and most importantly, I learned the honor of our warrior. With my mother's death, the time came for me to prove myself worthy of the tribe. I left in search of glory and honor in the outside world, to prove my spirit was true. I went to Luskan. Why did you go to Luskan? It was the closest city to our tribe. Though I knew nothing of its foul, rotten character, if I had, I would never have gone. I've tried to forget my time in that accursed city, Kell. The memories are not pleasant. This is not the time to speak of such things, Kell. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right. Alright, fine. Alright, who do I want to talk to next? Let's talk to Grimgnaw.
We meet again.
And doing here, yada yada yada, conscripted, he's a monk. Alright, let's see what his story is.
Is there something you need?
Just want to talk. Conversation is one way to pass the time until the Silent Lord comes to claim us. What do you wish to speak about? If we're going to be traveling together, I'd like to know a little more about you. I'm a monk of the Order of the Long Death, Kell. I am defined by the customs, tenets, and beliefs of my order. Simply put, I worship death. I understand I care nothing for the petty gods who squabble over and lay claim to death's portfolio, for I serve death itself, the Silent Lord who rules us all. Tell me more about your order, Grimgnaw. We of the Long Death train, study, and serve our masters. We strive to transcend the earthly world through mental discipline and philosophical understanding of death. We worship the very essence of Silent Lord, and we honor the tools that prepare us all for our inevitable and inescapable end. Pain, suffering, torment, agony. Our beliefs are difficult for most to accept, and the Order of the Long Death has many powerful enemies. What kind of enemies are you talking about? Our embrace of the Silent Lord has brought us into conflict with many who do not understand the beauty of death. Many fear their mortal end, and for most we will simply use pain, anguish, torture, and suffering to release them from this fear. We will prepare them for the cold embrace of the Silent Lord. There are some who go to extremes to avoid their fate. They use foul rituals and dark necromancy to deny the Silent Lord that which is his due. You're talking about the undead, right? Liches and zombies and the like. The undead are a foul abomination, a denial of the natural order. We of the Long Death are in constant conflict with necromancers and their minions. I have seen firsthand the horrors of a war with the undead, Kell. What do you mean? This is not the time to speak of such things, Kell. We must focus on rooting out the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later, when the time is right. Alright. And I will be talking to Sharwin Llast, because she will be the one that I recruit. Alright, let's talk to Linu.
Hello. I had hoped that you would show up here, my friend. I heard that Aribeth recruited you to stamp out the evil cult that was responsible for the plague.
Linu, what a pleasant surprise. And then, yeah. Oh, I was afraid I might have missed you while I was changing my clothes. Oh, great. Changing her clothes? Oh, when I came in here, a waitress spilled some drinks. She soaked your clothes? Well, no. I bumped into her, and when the drinks crashed down, I leapt backwards into a dwarf knocking over his ale and stew. So that messed you up? No. The food and drinks landed on the floor, but the dwarf crashed into a half-orc, causing the knife he was eating with to slice open his cheek. That's when the brawl started. And you wrecked your outfit in the brawl? I managed to stay out of the brawl, hiding under a table and feeling awfully guilty. When the fight was over, I felt I should help clean up the mess. So you got dirty cleaning up? No, I wore an apron and managed to stay pretty clean. Then I stepped outside for a breath of fresh air and slipped in a mud puddle, so then I had to go change. Why didn't you just tell me you slipped in a puddle from the start? I didn't want you to think I was clumsy. Oh, I love that story. That's priceless. Alright, so often you need a skilled healer. Join me. Alright. Alright, let's hear her story.
Hey there, dear. What can I do for you?
Just want to talk. I love chatting with you, but don't you think we should focus on your mission right now? Tell me, how do you like being an adventurer? I always wanted to be an adventurer, Kell. I have a natural curiosity about everything, and I wanted to experience the things I read in books. But I am from Evereska, the home of philosophers, mages, scholars, and students of the mysteries. Adventurous souls are few, and they are often looked down upon, except one. Oh, who's that? Synth Lenero. He was a handsome, charismatic, intelligent, adventurous archaeologist. He was respected within Evereska and other intellectual circles in places like Waterdeep. He was considered the most eligible bachelor in Evereska. Your husband. Actually, I didn't like him at first. I was reading a text on an ancient race one night in their temple library. The author was writing about his adventures seeking lost relics and exotic, dangerous locals. I guess that's supposed to be locales. I slammed the book on the table, calling the author a lying, pompous fool. Another elf was sitting on a chair near me with his face in a book. He asked me what I was reading. I told him the name of the book, and he laughed. In my youthful arrogance, I went on to list the large number of errors in the author's logic. Was it really that bad? When I finished, he began to refute every point I had made. It was, I quickly discovered, synth Lenero. When I realized the mistake I had made, I screamed and ran from the room. Despite my blundering, I must have made an impression on him, for he pursued me from that day on. Eventually he won my heart, though only through an act that almost cost him his life. What did he do? Let us not talk of such things right now, sweet Kell. We must hunt down the cult responsible for the Wailing Death. Perhaps we can speak of this later when the time is right. Alrighty. And I guess Boddyknock, and then, Sharwin.
Good to see you again, though in actual fact I cannot say I am really surprised.
What are you doing here? Yada yada yada. Conscripted. He's a sorcerer. Alright.
Is there something you need?
Just want to talk for a while. I'm a staunch proponent of the free exchange of ideas, Kell. What is it you wish to know? If we're going to be traveling together, I'd like to know a little more about you. As you know, I come from Lanton, an island renowned for its inventions and scientific advances. From that, you can rightly conclude that I myself am of an analytical and curious nature. You also know I am a sorcerer, and from that you can no doubt draw further conclusions, though in all truth my chosen profession is rather uncommon among the Lantonese culture. Why are sorcerers so uncommon in Lanton? The mysteries of the arcane are not as eagerly sought out in my homeland as they are in other places. We have inventions to accomplish many of the things others rely on magic to perform. In my homeland, there is no shame attached to what I do. It is merely seen as unusual, though I will admit it is not the future my father envisioned for me. I was his eldest son, and I suppose my father wanted me to follow in his own footsteps, but flowers, plants, and gardens never held much interest for me. Oh, what was he, a druid? Druids worship nature, Kell, but we in Lanton seek to control and direct nature, to extract that which is useful and remove that which is harmful. Agronomy is a well-respected field in Lanton, and my father was one of the finest horticulturalists on the island. His pioneering research in cross-pollination and grafting techniques was responsible for the creation of 26 unique species of plants. Because of my father's work, Lanton's agricultural yields increased, as did the island's supply of medicinal herbs, and the beauty and variety of our flowering species is unparalleled anywhere on the mainland. Sounds like a great man. A finer gnome could not be found the length and breadth of Faerun, Kell. I suppose that is why I find the gulf that has grown between us so painful to accept. What do you mean? My father and I had a falling out. Please, Kell, this is difficult for me to speak of. I'm not sure I wish to discuss this with you right now. Perhaps later I'll be in a mood to speak more of my tale, but for now we should focus on your mission. The cult responsible for the Wailing Death must be found. Alrighty, and so I guess I'm out of time, so next episode, well, I guess we'll have to talk to Sharwin, and I guess we'll finally officially get out of here and start doing something, picking up a few more side quests, and maybe we'll even be able to start searching for the cult. Alright, so this is Cyric1983 signing off. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.